Hi, guys.
Hey,
Welcome back. Hi, James.
what's going on? I was James.
It's cute, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's called editing.
funky.
Thanks. So, guys, today I have James Butler on, and James and I have a very cool story about how we met. So, first, I'd like you to join me in welcoming James and a little bit about James. James is a what we call in Subto a gator, which is a money lender, for lack of a better term. Um, and he's a real estate investor, a businessman, and an all around sweet guy. And he's handsome too. But sorry, ladies, he's taken.
I am, ladies.
Yes, he is. So sorry.
I appreciate the cute compliment. I really appreciate being here, and yeah, looking forward to getting to know you even more. Even though we had an awesome experience at the Squat Up Summit.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about that. So I'll start. Squat Up Summit. We've been talking about that, and I even have a video of different like pictures and stuff of Squat Up Summit. So it was at the Hilton, and there were several places to eat lunch. One of them was the Hilton, like kind of it's kind of like a deli store, sort of. They have all kinds of stuff in there. So I was in line with a $20 salad. $20.
Way
It was
over.
good. I don't know if it was worth $20, but it was good.
Mhm.
So I'm like, there's a whole line of people because we only have a certain amount of time for lunch, and I couldn't find my card for the life of me. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I wear? I can't find it. I can't find it. And I started panicking, right? Because all these people are behind me. So then I told the cashier, I'm like, here, hold my salad. I'm going to run back to my room and see if I can find my card. Right. And then this fine young man steps out of line. He's like 3 or 4 people behind me. And he's like, I got you. I said, no. He's like, no, seriously. I got it. I'll pay for it. I was like, well, I got 15 in cash on me. He's like, no. I got it. I was like, are you sure?
I had to have your back. You know.
Yes. I
Saw
was
you
like,
there. You're sitting there rummaging, going through stuff, and there's people behind you, and you're like, oh gosh, here we go. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna step in and take care of this, and
that was
maybe I'm
so
gonna meet a friend, and
sweet.
I did. And
Yes.
we had a great conversation afterwards, and got to know each other a little bit more, and
Hmm.
turned out to be a great experience. And then you post, I really appreciate that post. You
You're
posted a
so
really sweet,
welcome.
really nice post about me, and that's awesome. But I think you would agree that this community, that's what this community is supposed to be like. That's like the epitome of what it's supposed to be about, right?
Yes, as an
Meeting,
example of how it really is.
meeting new people, helping people, being genuine,
Mm.
and just taking care of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, and everybody that has heard your name that I have mentioned you to is always like, oh, yeah, he's an awesome guy. Oh, he's so awesome.
Oh, that's flattering. That's really flattering.
So, this is a gentleman that you definitely want to do business with. Somebody who's like that when it doesn't involve business is the kind of people that you want to do business with. Yeah. And I'm currently looking at co-living homes to turn into co-livings, and I got you on my radar big time. And
Okay,
anybody
yeah,
I talk to, I tell them about you too.
yeah. Just let me know. It's been probably 8 to 10 months since I've been in Gator, and I've already done a couple of deals. I'm kind of coupling that with wholesaling too as well. So I'm hammering the
Mm.
phones, and then when I see a good opportunity to lend, I take it. The first deal that I actually did was with my buddy Lance and his lady Jessica. So shout out to Lance Riggin and Jesse Riggin.
I love them. I met
And
them last night in person.
oh, they're amazing people. They're absolutely amazing people.
As soon
Um,
as I started talking to Jessica, I'm like, oh, I found my new best friend.
isn't she awesome?
She,
Those two are like the two most genuine people in the world.
yeah.
They'll give you the shirt off their back, and yeah, it's crazy how I met them. I know Lance is originally from California, but he lived in Oregon for a really long time, and that's where I'm from. And so
That's where my daughter lives now.
yeah, we met in church, and just became friends and saw each other all the time, and it just it bloomed into a good relationship. I got to know Jessica, and kind of the rest is history. We've been keeping in contact. I moved to New Mexico actually, and I was there
Ooh.
for a year. But when I moved, shortly after that, they moved from Oregon to Tyler, and we've kept in contact the whole time. And yeah, I've known them for over a decade. Great, amazing couple.
Yeah.
Great part. Great people in the community.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely my kind of people too, for sure. And I mean, the community is just, I was saying on a previous episode, I have met more phenomenal people in this year that I've been in Subto, and I'm 52. I'm almost 53. I'll be 53 in 2 weeks. So I've met more phenomenal people in this past year than I have my entire life. You know,
It was meant to be.
right. I
Sorry that it took
mean,
so long, right? Like this,
right.
I feel
Pace, you
like
should have
this.
started this community earlier.
I know. Come on, man. But
So,
go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that you obviously were an amazing impact, an amazing part of the Squat Up Summit. But that whole event, just all across the board, was amazing. You know,
It
got to meet
was.
several different awesome people from all over the place, and it really the stars aligned. I think because I'm from Oregon. I moved to New Mexico, was there for a year, and then I moved here. And shortly after that, the very first Squat Up Summit is like 35 minutes away from my house. So
I think it's
crazy.
ironic that you're a Gator and now you live in Florida.
I know, right? Isn't that cool? I like to wear a lot of Gator gear before I was an actual Gator too. I'm a big fan of Lacoste. So I mean,
Okay.
just the stars are aligning. It's just how it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
The little symbolisms and synchronicities are everywhere.
I know, right?
So how did you find the Gator Tribe in Sub 2?
So, I come from a construction background, and
Mhm.
I was doing a ton of construction, and it was union commercial construction back home in Oregon. And so I was making a lot of trips back and forth. I was working I had about a 3 hour one way commute to work. And I would go in a little town called Prineville, which is just outside of Bend, Oregon. And so I would go, I would stay, take the trip, 3 hours one way, stay for a week, and then drive home. And so um, I would listen to a lot of podcasts. I would listen to a lot of books on tape and stuff. And so the real estate actually originated from Bigger Pockets. And
Yeah.
and then I came across Bigger Pockets with Pace Morby, and I saw one of the episodes with him on it talking about creative finance. And it's funny because Brandon Turner actually wrote the book on. I think he wrote the book on creative finance before Pace did. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Creative finance is older than mortgages. And
no
Pace will
doubt.
be the first one to tell you he didn't create it. He just made it popular.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't write the book on it, but I just remember watching the podcast with Pace on it, and then him talking about creative finance and them going into creative finance, and I was like, oh, really? Because at this point, I'm making good money, great benefits in union construction, but I always wanted to have more, and I knew that wasn't my ultimate calling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I didn't want to work for anybody else, so I started researching real estate and getting into educating myself. And so I got into the bigger pockets first, then it kind of transitioned from the bigger pockets just from that episode with Pace on it. And then I started seeing this guy on social media, you know, and he has a huge social media presence, right? So I started following him. I started watching some of the stuff that he was putting on YouTube. And, you know, of course, the algorithm starts to kick in when you're on social media,
Yeah.
right? So
You
like
see one and you're going to keep seeing them,
oh,
or you
you're not
watch.
lying. So every other advertisement was Pace. And so I started looking into Subto. And then from there, I kind of found the Gator, and I was like, you know, I want to join this community here. I can get into real estate without having to do fix and flips, without having to.
Which you were probably already doing the construction part of it, and you were like, "Oh, I don't want more. I want let me get into that a different way."
Right, and the
Makes so
commercial,
much
you know,
sense.
doing a lot of commercial, but also doing a lot of residential remodels on the side. You know, doing side work and stuff like that. So I was like, that's, you know, I already have some experience doing that. I don't really want to do that. And so, you know, it was more about getting into real estate without having to do the construction part of it. And then seeing how you can start an LLC, you know, get your business funding going, use other people's money to lend and make a return off of that. And that's kind of ultimately the path that I've traveled. I got in with PCS, like he, you know, like he so advocates, and I got a holding company, 2 LLCs. Then I started getting my business credit up and started applying for 0% interest lines of credit. And so I've been able to make the deals that I've made off of other people's money. 0% interest lines of credit, 1% monthly minimum payments. So if I have $40,000 out, well, if I have it out for a month or longer, well, then I'm only responsible for a 1% monthly minimum payment. And what is that? That's like $400. And that $400 that I'm paying goes all to principal because it's a 0% interest line of credit. So it's like, you know, it just made sense to me.
Yeah.
So that's what got me intrigued about it. So I did the Gator training. Lance and Jessica had been in, you know, in real estate, and then they ended up getting into Subto, and then
Right.
Subto as well. And so they're like, you know, my boy's following the path too. So let's see what we can do about helping him out with his first deal. And so they helped me get my first EMD deal. Once again, shout out to Lance and Jess.
They're
And
awesome.
and then I just started making connections. And so right now I have, you know, I just got paid from a short-term lend. It was a PML deal, 35K for a 45-day lend with a 30% return. So a very short,
Nice.
you know, it wasn't an EMD lend, but it's still a you know, in the scope of that short-term transactional lend with a pretty high chunk. You know what I mean?
So that would classify as a I should have turned on the echo, whatever. So that would classify as transactional lending.
It's a shorter term transactional, or it's a shorter term transaction, but I don't know if it falls under the scope of transactional lending. I think the transactional lending is still the EMD and double closes and things of that nature. So this was a private money lend. It was just a really short term private money lend.
Okay. Yeah.
They needed costs for construction and down payment for the buy. But you know, I got a second lien position, you know, a promissory note, deed of trust. It was a referral from somebody that I know and trust, and there was some equity in the deal too as well. So it seemed like a sound decision, and so I moved forward with it.
And it paid off.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Love it. So, what are your passions and areas of focus in real estate and sub two, other than Gator lending, of course? Like, do you have plans to join the sub two community? And you said you're doing some wholesaling. Are you already in the sub two community? Or?
I'm not, no. And eventually I might move that way. I think like I said, I sunk all my ships. So I went to New Mexico. Yeah, I went to New Mexico for an opportunity for a leadership role for the last company that I worked for. And when I was there, um, it was really just me on the brink of saying, okay, this is not, it was just not my calling, and I could tell. The money was great, no bag on anybody that's in construction, but it's not what I wanted to do. And so um, I actually fell in love while I was there, and I went home because my cousin was getting married, and
Uh-huh.
in the wedding was her bridesmaids. And so
Maybe that
after,
was the most important reason you really were there. Didn't
I'm
even know
telling
it.
you, there's a reason for everything. And
Yes.
so the stars aligned with her and I. Long story short, I fell in love. She lived here in Orlando, and I was still living in Oregon, and that was back in October before I moved to New Mexico. So 2 months late, fast forward 2 months later, I get the job opportunity to go to New Mexico, and we start talking a lot more. She comes and visits me in New Mexico a couple times. I go to Orlando to meet her. We're both originally from Oregon, so we both make trips to
Oh.
Oregon a couple times. And so I had never met her. My cousin had never introduced me to her before the wedding. And then after the ceremony, we hit it off in the reception, and so then um, when and
Yeah.
it really didn't take that long. And so I said, it makes more sense for me to move from New Mexico here than for her to move from here to New Mexico. I did the house hacking thing. Shout out to Bigger Pockets when I was in
Mhm.
New Mexico. So I packed everything up and moved to New Mexico, found a temporary place to stay, and then I did the house hacking thing, which is super popular when you're for beginner investors
Mhm.
from Bigger Pockets. So found a place, moved there, lived there, fell in love. It was long distance, and I didn't want to do the long distance thing, and so
Mhm.
I'd been saving my money, and so I ended up moving here. And when I moved here, I said no more construction. I'm going to get into lending and real estate investing full time. And so, long-winded question, right? Or long-winded answer, right?
Oh, that's fine.
But do I plan on going into sub two?
Mhm.
Um, Maybe. Eventually, in this
Mhm.
community in Orlando, there is a ton. The community, the sub two community, Gator community is huge here. So I think
Ooh.
I think eventually it would be only right for me to do that. But right
Mhm.
now, since I was transitioning, burned all my bridges, I said, okay, I want to make quick money now. So I decided to do the the wholesaling to begin with, and
Gotcha.
um, so I found some actually on the 10th is the final walkthrough for my very first wholesale deal. So I'm excited.
Yeah, you just got off the ground.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm new. I think. Yep, I'm still wet
Yeah,
back there.
yeah, right. A
But
little green, alligator green behind the
right.
ears. Oh,
But
that's cute. So,
I,
how long have you been in now?
how long have I been in the Gator community?
Yeah, like when did you join?
I think it was March. Um,
Okay.
yeah, March or April of 2023. So
Oh,
it's been over a year, but that
you
at that time I was, I was working 65, 70-hour weeks. I was
mhm.
running a Netflix job in New Mexico, and I was babysitting like 46 grown men and a few women.
Oh, that's worse
So
than 46 children.
yeah, so there wasn't, I'd work all day and then I'd come home and I'd allocate 2 or 3 hours every single night to doing my education from Gator. So um, it wasn't a full time thing. It was definitely
Right.
a slow progression
Yeah,
into
it's
where I'm
not a
at
lot of
now.
people that hit the ground running and take off immediately. You got to learn. Everybody's got other things going on in their life. So, it's more normal for, you don't want to let other things go until it makes sense not to have those other things.
Right. And for me, there's been all these life changes, right? Like
Mhm.
I went from Oregon to New Mexico, from New Mexico here to Orlando area. I got in a new relationship. I decided to say goodbye to the W 2 and jump into real estate, wholesaling and lending full time. So it's been crazy, but I was always told that you either take a risk or you work for somebody who did take a risk. And I didn't want to go to my grave with regrets. So I
Right.
decided to just jump into being an entrepreneur, and I'm the captain of my ship. So
There you go. There
yeah,
you go. All right. So, do you have any other future goals inside of where Sub 2 and Gator are concerned?
I
Like
mean,
any specific ones?
obviously continuing to learn more. There's bonus Zooms and more and more education that's going into the Gator community as far as the group and Gator as a whole.
Mhm.
I mean, I just have so much more growth to do. This is really just the beginning. So
And
the
I'll tell
goal,
you what, if anybody can challenge people, it's pace. Like there's no way any of us can keep up.
I know, right? That dude, I remember seeing there was like one short or reel or something of him where
Mm.
he's talking about, oh, leave your 9 to 5 so you can get passive income and work for yourself and be an entrepreneur. And as I'm reading it, it's him going to bed, and he runs to his bed, lays down, and then just gets right back up because he's just busy and working 24/7. So
Right.
but I feel like it's like anything else, right? What I put into
Yeah.
it is what I'm getting out of it. My goal is, like I said, to continue to learn. There's definitely a lot of sales in being a wholesaler. There's more connections that I need to make, and more networking I need to do to build to build my own community. You know what I mean? So the goal is, within a couple of years, is to have 3 to 5 deals going every single month at least for my
Yeah.
wholesaling, and hopefully the same there with
With
with my
Gator.
my lending. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And Sub 2 and Gator are babies. Sub 2 is younger than, I mean, Gator is younger than Sub 2,
mhm.
basically. So, we're in the infant stages. I mean, can you imagine what all of this is going to look like 10 years from now?
It's going to be absolutely amazing. You know why though, right? Shannon.
Um,
Huh?
because because the real estate landscape is changing
Yeah.
big time.
Well, it's changing in a good way. It's changing
Mhm.
where there is a community. It's changing where there is awesome people like you and so many other people that I've met in the
Oh.
community, to where he's made it to where it's not just a one man band thing. We come.
He's leading by example, and his vibe is attracting his tribe, and he's showing us the way.
You can only get
Um,
so far by yourself, right?
right? Right. Speaking of this is the way, do you get the baby Yoda reference right there?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Do you get the
absolutely.
reference?
I love the Mandalorian.
So, yeah. So when I found Pace, I found him on YouTube. I was a realtor in Maryland at the time. And, I was looking on YouTube University for something. And when I discovered him and started listening to him, of course, this was in the wake of the pandemic and everything. So I was just like, what is going on in this world right now? Right. And in real estate. And then I found Pace and I was just having epiphanies. And I was like, oh, I felt like the Mandalorian. I said, oh my gosh, this is the way. So that's why he's got a little substitute.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, what intrigued me to begin with was just the whole concept of being able to take over somebody's mortgage, being able to come in and do something seller finance. I mean, these are all, like you said, he didn't create these things, but not like so many people didn't know anything about these kind of strategies,
Mhm.
and I feel like people are actually starting to wake up and be more receptive, and it's because of the community and it's because of Pace.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, the whole dynamic has changed, and it's for the
I'm
better.
I'm a little bit I'm in that category spiritual, not religious, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, I've heard recently that we have left a time of competition, that we have been in this competition energy for a very long time, and that we
Hmm.
have left that and we have entered a time of co-creation. And I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay, I'm on board. Sign me up." And the
Yeah.
more I look around, the more I see, "Oh my gosh, this is so true. Look at this. Like competition is literally not working anymore."
Hmm.
Like, cutthroat, I'm stepping on you. You know what I mean? It's not working as much. And a lot of it's being uncovered and exposed. And I mean, we've had the internet for a long time
Oh
now,
yeah. Oh
but I
yeah.
feel like it's all just now really starting to surface over the
Right.
past 5 years ish or so, you know?
Um,
But yeah, I mean, and what really works is like when everybody comes together and everybody has positive energy and they all help each other. I mean, look what it does.
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can speak. I don't know about your community there. I'm sure it's amazing, but I can't say too much. Like I could never say too much about the Orlando community, the Subto and Gator community here.
Mhm.
And there, and that's what I mean. People think that, okay, well, there's somebody that knows way more than I do. They're just more competent than I am. So there's no way that I can, there's no way that I can get to where they are. Or there's no way that I'm going to be able to tap into the same, um, into the same community as them or the same market as them. But on the contrary, like you said, it's see, there goes
Hi, puppies. Welcome to the
puppy.
podcast.
I knew at some point they would say hello.
Oh,
But
it's
um,
the mailman.
but like you were talking about, on the contrary, it's not competition anymore. It's collaboration, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Because here, if there's somebody that knows more than me, I can always ask them, and they're more than willing to help me out. And we're instead of a scarcity mindset, we have an abundance mindset.
Yes.
The
What you
more people,
concentrate on grows stronger.
the more people that we're able to help out, the more we'll get helped out. you
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
and that's what it is for me too, like, right, like we want, ultimately, we want more for ourselves, right? So we got into real estate to have a better quality of life,
Mhm.
to be the change that we want to be. But at the end of the day, I think that we're all the same. We all want the same things.
Yeah. We're all part of a collective. I feel
Yeah,
like humanity in general is evolving. We're like little children that are graduating elementary and entering middle school, sort of.
right.
Kind of. It's a really weird analogy, but you see what I'm saying. we're growing up a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
we're getting better. We're not like,
Mhm.
that's mine. Now we're like, okay, I'll take it half the time and you can have it half the time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But yeah. So do you have any interest outside of sub two? What are your hobbies or whatever?
I mean, it's been a ton of work, but it's kind of your run of the mill stuff. I mean, I love movies. I love stand up comedy. Back home, I have a group of buddies that I get with on a regular basis, and we play some Texas Hold'em. So I'm
Ah,
playing some cards.
you
I
make
like
money
to
on it?
I like to read. Well, when we're playing, it's more or less just. I mean, there is that's where the competition would come into play with the parties, but
Right.
it's a friendly competition, and it's more
Right.
or less it's not um, it's not so much about the money. We have some skin in the game. We play with a little bit of money, but it's not anything serious. It's more or less the buddies just getting together and the fellowship part of it. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, what else? I love sports. I love to go to the gym. Back home, there was a lot of
I can
places.
see you look swole.
Oh, I might. Well, well, if you see this too, I had a little elbow injury here, and so it's
What
kind of hindering
happened?
me. It's a long story. Back in New Mexico, the my office is about 250 yards away from the job site. And so I had a side by side. And one day it was really muddy and I was going a little bit too fast. And I hydroplaned and went one way and then went the other way and tipped the buggy and landed right on my elbow, tore my tricep.
Oh,
So, and that was back in October of last year. So it's been 8, 9 months since I've
oh
had the
my
torn
God.
tricep, and they just did some surgery on it. But the first 2 weeks sucked. I'm on the mend. I'm in the mend on the mend,
All
and
right.
I have a lot more mobility in my arm now. I can actually use this other hand too as well. It was a pain in the butt for 2 weeks, but I'm getting better. It's one of 5 surgeries that I've ever had in my life, so it's really nothing new, and it's nothing that's gonna stop me from doing what I love: playing basketball, going to the gym.
Right. Awesome. Okay. Do you have any advice for someone just starting out in sub two or gator? And do you recommend them start with one or the other? Or
I think it's really just kind of a matter of preference. There's so many
Mhm.
directions that you can go and so many different avenues that you can pursue. And for me, I guess it would just be more or less like go to what's calling you first, and then second, do what I did and what I've been doing this whole time, and lean on other people. I feel like the premise of our podcast here has kind of been about community and about being able to lean
Huh.
on other people and getting to know people and being around people that are like-minded, people that are going to challenge you and push you,
Mhm.
and um, don't stop learning and lead by example. I want to be able, and that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier, is that we're all the same. At our core, we're all the same. But for me, it's not about the success, so to speak. It's about who it is that I need to become in order to reach the success. And then
Mhm.
also having more resources makes me able to be more of a resource and a blessing for other people too as well. So I want to be a student and a teacher. So
Yes.
I don't want to
And
just
to be the hero who rescues damsels in distress who can't buy their lunch when
Oh God, like I said, you would have done the same exact thing for me, Shanna.
probably. I would hope so.
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, I
Everybody's
think I would.
instead of
Yeah.
being instead of being the person like, what's going on? Like, hurry up! Like, no,
And
go and lend a hand and say hello. Like,
yeah, I felt so bad. And turns out I had my freaking card with me the whole time. I had this thing right here. right? This like little portfolio thing. And when I left to go downstairs, because I was using this to take notes and stuff like that down, during the thing, and I stuck my card in there instead of my purse. And I'm looking all through my purse for the card, and it was in my portfolio.
Wasn't supposed to happen like that though. And I'm
Right.
and I'm glad you didn't find it, or else we wouldn't have met.
Oh, that's
Well,
so sweet.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you were the first person I'm calling to. I had just moved and barely got settled in and then had to leave for squad up. So I was in Baltimore, Maryland my whole entire life and just
Hmm.
moved pretty much halfway across the country. So, I was like had all this stuff going on too. So my mind's all over the place. Plus, squad up was just like mind blowing. So yeah, just wasn't right in the head. I still feel a little
And
started trying to get my
oh,
bearings.
I know how that is though.
Yes.
From Oregon to New
Mhm.
Mexico, in New Mexico for a year, and then New Mexico to here in Orlando. Technically I'm like 3,000 miles away from home, but you know,
Whatever it is, it runs in my family. On my side of the family, because I have two children. My oldest daughter, moved to Oregon from Baltimore, Maryland, right after she got married. And then my son moved to Ohio and he works at Google now. He's been there for what, 5, 6 years ish, something like that.
right on.
I have one daughter that stayed there, but I have a sister that lives in Germany. I have another sister that lives, far out in Maryland, not Baltimore, Maryland. I have another sister in Pennsylvania. I mean, I have three nephews, and I think my niece is getting ready to move to Texas. I have another nephew in Florida. Man, we're spread out.
Hmm.
Like, it's
Gives you an
ridiculous.
opportunity to travel to go see them, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
that um, the comfort zone is where growth goes to die, and so I needed to move.
yes.
Nothing happens on God's green earth for no reason. You know,
Yeah. I can't stand being stagnant. Hate it.
no
Yeah.
emotion.
And
Got
life
to
is a journey. It's not a destination. You're not supposed to settle down and live happily ever after, contrary to what the fairy tales say.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the journey, all about the journey. I feel like what makes sense to me is that we're kind of like away at college. And,
Mm-hmm.
people, when you pray, you're like in the hallway making that phone call back home. Hey, mom, dad, I need some money. I need some help here. You know,
Yep.
but yeah. So
Couldn't
anyway,
agree more.
do what?
I said I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I've learned a lot since I've been here. I'm telling you. So where can people find you if they want to get a hold of you?
If they want to get a hold of me, they can go to Facebook and they can look up James Butler, just my name, first and last. If
Mhm.
they want to connect with me on Instagram, you can go to Jimmy Gage, all one word, Jimmygage.
Mhm.
My It's funny because the gauge comes from my business that I started, and it's goodasgoldenterprise.com. That website,
Oh, it
the
kind of sounds like
website,
a movie star name.
right? The,
It
the, web,
does.
the
Jimmy
website
Gage.
there, the website there is still under construction. I got my tech guy working on it now, but the acronym for a Good as Gold Enterprise is Gauge. So that's where I got the Jimmy Gauge.
I like it.
And then you guys can see the email address too. Don't you know? We can be old school and use email. You can reach out on the email as
Hey,
well. James at
just don't
goodasgoldenterprise.com.
send it from my email. That's why we were
Apparently
late, guys. Like
not.
for some reason, my email with the StreamYard link was not going through.
No, we had a lot of technical difficulties before, didn't we?
Yeah,
But
like, it must be like an Apple, Android, there's this war going on silently. There must
well,
also be like a Mac and Windows war going on, or
well,
Microsoft.
you should ask Pace about iPhone and Android.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. We'll be like, "Peace, I'm having a problem with." He goes, "Okay, first things first, do you have an Android?" "Okay, that's what's going on." Like, or,
I hate
"Oh,
to be
that person, they're probably an Android user."
I hate to be biased, but I converted. I was
Yeah.
going back and forth for a while, right? Like every other phone I would get, I just switch back and forth from platform to platform. But overall, I think that it's just user friendly. It's just simple.
I don't mind switching, but I have always had a Galaxy or Android, whatever. I've never had an iPhone, so I know, and I'm a Gen Xer, so we can do it. We can comprehend it. Just takes us longer, and
Mhm.
it's just I would have to learn a whole new software system and just don't really want to take the time to do that. Plus, iPhones don't have a little stylus pen inside the
And
phone.
yeah,
I'm
I know.
whining, I know, but
I mean, let's be honest. In all honesty, technology wise, I mean, come on. iPhone is way behind. iPhone's marketing is way better and they're way more user friendly. But the things that you can do on a Droid are way ahead of the times. And the funny thing is that eventually Apple will advertise something that you have been able to do with your Droid years ago, and people will go
right.
nuts over it. So it's hilarious.
Yeah. My favorite one was that remember that one where you would slide it up and there was a keyboard before you
Oh
used touch
yeah,
screens too much? Oh, that was
yeah.
my favorite. I would
The
just pick that
sidekick,
thing
the
up and
sidekick, sidekick.
I
That's
always got my nails done at that time and I would use the corners of my nails.
oh, the sidekicks, the razors. I
Yeah.
remember the huge bar phones back in the day.
Oh, and the brick phones,
Oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, those things were so expensive. Like you had to be a lawyer or doctor to afford it.
Well,
Nowadays, lawyers and doctors don't make as much compared to everybody else as they used to.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Um, well, nobody will know. People and kids these days will never know the pain of just a home phone before there was even a cell phone, where you could. I remember being on the phone talking to my friend or whoever it may be, and then my grandma would pick up the phone and be like, "Dinner's ready. Get off the phone."
You're like, Grandma, you are ruining my game here. She's never going to go out with me now.
If somebody could be listening in on the other phone. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. You had to be home. You had to be home to get a phone call. That
Mhm. Oh
reminds
yeah.
me, my grandfather retired from NASA. And he
Mhm.
told me when I was young, he's like, pretty soon you're going to be walking around with a phone in your pocket. And I didn't believe him. I was like, no way.
And that's what I mean. The times are changing, and you got to change with them, or you'll get left.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Nope.
But one of the good things is it makes like when you do take a break and go on vacation or something, it just makes it that much more enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Time away, like the downtime from the screens. Absolutely.
Mhm.
The recharge, the disconnect. It's good, and it's very necessary. Very necessary.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
It was my
And
pleasure.
thank you. That's so sweet. That's 2 favors you've done for me already. I
Oh,
owe you, owe you, owe you. I need to bring you like 10 deals.
nobody's keeping tabs here. Nobody's keeping
Oh, you're so sweet. So thank you so much for coming on the show and
Absolutely.
hang back afterwards and we'll talk a little bit. And thank you for joining in, guys. Talk to you soon.
See
Bye.
you later.